them be the rules.
The Burpin' Turpins is your new family band. I like it.
Yeah, we're traveling the Midwest sometime around next quarter, I think.
Burpin' Turpins. I like it. I'd see that.
Yeah.
I'd see that in concert. Why not?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, probably because we don't actually have any skills or musical instruments and stuff like that. But yeah, why not?
I like it. Okay. Well, let's do this thing and hope for the best here. Let's see. I have an intro, so here we go. I'm going to count it down. You know the drill. Here it goes. Let's get going. It begins in 3, 2, 1.
Scott, this is War Chief Thrall. I'm calling to remind you, don't stay up too late and eat your vegetables.
You're listening to The Instance.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Instance. This is The Instance, episode 400. 400 to be 40,000.
4010.
4010. There you go. The year is 4010, and I'm Scott Johnson. This is February 6th, Friday. It's 2015. I'm joined by Terpster. Hello, Terpster. Father of the Year, Terpster.
Hello. Yes, I am, out of the four of us, the father of this year.
Yeah, that's true. You are.
Your kids voted, and they all voted for me. It's quite sad, really. But, I guess it's the novelty, really, isn't it?
They do like
You've
you.
won every single year up until now.
Yeah, they do like you a lot.
So there you
go.
go.
I understand how that works. Also,
it's just the voting thing was inverted because you're from the UK. They didn't know where to put the box.
No, exactly. They did it the American place.
You tricked them.
But we were doing it based on the UK place.
Sure.
Which is the opposite.
Yeah.
Because we drive on the left.
And parliamentary approval of everything and screaming men in wigs. I know how it is. I've seen movies.
You've seen Downton Abbey. You know exactly how things are.
Don't be such a dummy. So there's Patrick right over there. Hello, Patrick. Hi.
Hello.
Dills is here, too, on a headset in beautiful Napa, California, chilling. Vacation time.
Yeah, I'm here for my birthday, sipping wine.
Yeah.
I'm actually
happy
happy. I was totally
going
gonna say that.
Yeah,
happy
beat everyone
birthday.
to it though, because I remember. That's the difference, though. That's what you have to remember.
That's
Dad
true.
of the year.
I remember. They're just copying.
The big 3-5, dude. Grats on that. That's
the big 3-5. Yeah, things are starting to not work so well, and can't really get out of bed in the morning. It's tough.
Sure, things start to hurt.
That's because you're in Napa as well. Isn't that like the wine capital of?
Oh yeah, no, I'm not talking about being old. I'm talking about being hungover.
Yeah, that's good.
It is the wine capital, at least of California, maybe the States.
So far we've done 4 or 5 wine tastings and had one of those kind of prefixed wine paired meals already.
Oh really? What you should do with that is just say, "Oh, yeah, I'm glad they went with the Bordeaux." Yeah, I was going to say that Bordeaux would go really well with this.
Yeah, rosé would have been awful with this, but
it's interesting actually. They went with the
Yeah,
obvious
that's usually
choice. Yeah.
That's usually how I go, because whenever we're at a dinner with foreigners, they're like, "Oh, Patrick's French. He's gotta choose the wine," and I'm like,
"You must love wine."
Do you have diet wine or something like Diet Coke? And they're like, "No, sir."
Yeah, I like the idea that the Dills might be doing at a wine tasting, and the way that tasting works is they taste it until the bottle's gone, and then they get to the next bottle.
So you're not meant to swallow. That's what she said. Or did I say? I can't remember. I'm very drunk.
I really... The first bit of the bottle tasted pretty good. We really don't know until we taste the bottom of the bottle.
Yeah,
That's
my
where the
favorite wine tasting joke.
Yeah.
Which you basically have a little sip. You swirl it around. You swig it. You basically make all of the faces you think you can make.
Mm-hmm.
Give it some Hannibal Lecter. Do all of that, and then just say, "Yeah, definitely wine." And they will fall on the side. They will laugh. They will say, "Oh, we've never heard that before."
Wow.
And they'll remember you as that funny guy.
Yeah.
At least that's what I think.
So you're already starting to work on your dad jokes, aren't you?
Oh yeah. Well, they don't have to. They come naturally. It's brilliant.
Sure. Yeah. It's a hormonal change.
Scott's funny to me now. It's crazy.
No,
it's crazy.
Yeah. Do all my jokes over the years suddenly make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like blurp, flurp, flurp. I do that. She smiles to those sort of words. I understand.
Yeah, making noises. Honestly, you when you have your first kid, you start making a ton of noises, and before you know it, that is your mode of communication with the child, and it sticks with you, and you start doing it with other adults.
It's tough when you interact with other people.
Yeah.
Definitely, like my first day back into work, I was thinking, like, if anyone starts crying, I'm just going to have to start hugging them and bouncing them up and down, sort of thing.
Oh, that's what I do usually.
Well, exactly. It's weird.
It works.
It's weird.
Well, then, Patrick,
And,
you're all
Yeah,
prepared.
that's why I've decided with my wife. We've decided once we have kids, we will only communicate with them through reading Plato and other, classics, because we don't want it to affect our everyday life.
Yeah. You don't want anyone to beat those kids up at school by making them complete and utter stuck-up nerds. You don't want to do that at all. That's a bad
No one would
idea.
like that.
No,
Yeah, exactly.
It's a terrible idea.
Hey, I did fine. Okay, I wasn't read Plato when I was a kid.
No,
sure,
no. But you ate Play-Doh as a kid, or at least I did, and that really helped out a lot. Did they one last question before we launch into what this show's actually about? Did they have Play-Doh? Did you guys have Play-Doh as kids? Was that just an
Play-Doh,
American
of course.
thing?
Yeah.
Is like
that
okay.
exists.
Of course we did.
Yeah.
God, I'm offended. You'd
Did-
even ask.
Did
yeah,
you?
stuff that tastes really salty. You had that. Yeah.
Are you some sort of commie bastard thinking that a great American institution like Plato wouldn't be worldwide?
Well, did they have the little factories that you could squeeze out the
yeah,
hair
the
and
little
all that?
shapes and stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Okay.
Get
well,
drunk enough and creative enough, you can use that for anything.
And we've done wonders with your Legos over here, the European created Legos.
What about I say that? Well, they're Finnish, aren't they, or
Finnish.
Swedish?
Yeah, I think
They're Swedish.
Danish.
Swedish.
Swedish.
Danish.
Danish.
Are they?
Yeah.
Danish.
They're from Nordic,
Yeah.
right?
Now
They're
yeah.
roughly from Europe. The country of Europe. So
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the American, the European.
Yeah,
Like,
the European country. We like you guys a lot. You guys are great. Stay
well,
stay
we
frosty.
like ourselves too. So.
All right, good. All right, well,
Legoland. Are you guys sure?
yeah.
I thought it was from the country Legoland.
Legoland. No, they they call
That's
themselves
the
that
sovereign
now.
country of Legoland.
Yeah, they call
No?
themselves that now. But that took
Wait,
some time.
Oh,
Well,
Is
I
it
don't know
Danish?
anything.
I think it's Danish, dude.
I think it's Danish. I'm pretty sure it's Danish. I've just checked. And Play-Doh, they've actually now they've redesigned.
It's
their
Danish.
computer
Of
tool.
course, it's Danish.
Yeah.
Thank God my wife wasn't listening.
Oh,
she would have
exactly. She
stabbed
would
me
have
in the
been angry.
back.
Yeah.
They've redesigned their extruder tool that previously got in a lot of flack because it resembles a penis.
No.
So there you go. Play-Doh always now. The new one looks more like a butt plug.
Wow.
So it's like, great, good job, Play-Doh. Dodge that bullet.
Yeah, Play-Doh
There you go.
originated here. So you have your Legos, we have our Play-Doh. Together,
That's why it looks like that. yeah.
together they ruin each other. I've seen Play-Dohs and Legos used together as a child. That ruins both the Play-Doh and the Legos forever. You're done. You're out. I'm glad I'm the only
So
one.
what is this show about again?
This show's about Play-Doh
forget.
and Legos. Come on, man. Get
Right.
with the program.
Yes.
No,
I don't
it's
know
about WoW.
the Americans, but here in the EU, we had the instance not found. So I think
Yeah.
it could be that.
You had a
We had
404.
server issues.
Sure, I understand how it went for you.
tough.
All right, well let's jump in here. We have some news. The breakdown of news brought to you by DoghouseSystems.com. Amazing new Blizzard systems still available at DoghouseSystems.com/Blizzard. You can use the code Henry for double the memory, as always, on a fine new gaming rig. The latest earnings call is pretty good news for World of Warcraft and for Blizzard in general. WoW is stable at 10+ million subscribers, they say. And that seems pretty good. It's the same as mid-November's announcement that they had hit 10 million again. So the drop-off rate, which is always a thing, is not as rapid as it has been in past expansions.
Well, that 10 was the number before Asia, and now we've had Asia come on board, and it's still 10.
Oh, I see.
So
that,
it's still good,
Mhm.
but I think that's why we've seen that there obviously would have been a drop off still, because there always is.
But you think that's
well,
a strategic?
We don't know. It's 10+ million.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
might be that they went sufficiently above 10 that even with the drop off it's still above 10. And it's also we're in February, so not even 3 months in. If people start unsubscribing now, I think it won't show until next month, possibly.
Yeah.
You probably expect 2 months of stability, but I mean, still, I was surprised. I didn't expect it to be that stable. I mean, 10 still 3 months after the launch of the expansion. That's who was surprised.
I
Raise
was
your
surprised. I
hands.
was surprised by the 10 in the first place. I was thinking 6 or 7. I remember Dills had said many episodes ago he had launched that lofty 10 number, and I at the time thought you were a little bit crazy, but
You're like, he's gonna regret saying that.
dead
it's
on
like,
money.
no,
I
he
always
was
thought
right.
that we were gonna get. I thought we were gonna get back to that number at some point, where they just had to kind of fix the issues that they had run into with Cataclysm and Pandaria, and lo and behold,
Yeah.
I got right.
Here
again.
they are.
Yeah.
They're 10 plus, and if it if it holds a little longer, that'd be really good news for them, obviously. But I do think there's kind of generally
it's already good news.
Well, it's
let's
good news
not,
already.
It's
Absolutely,
already
News,
pretty
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. Now, if they can maintain this for a while, this says a lot of things about changes made to the game. And
I don't think they can. I think it would be very surprising if it didn't drop off as it does after every single expansion. It's totally to be expected.
To be honest
If
with
it's
you,
still 10 million in 3 months, then it's going to be like pretty completely amazing. I think everyone, including them, expects it to drop off at some point.
Sure.
Yeah, we can
Well,
explain
if
a
they
lot
get
of this
hold
with
of
something
it-
we call the Béjar effect, and this definitely falls under the umbrella of a Béjar effect. But now I think you'll find that the source of that has moved on. So who knows if the numbers just disappear any time now? Really,
Sure.
it could just happen.
Wait, is the Beja effect a good thing or a bad thing? I didn't.
Well, apparently, analysts are still, they debate it, but I
okay,
think you could say that it's a good thing.
Yeah, it seems all right. It seems like Patrick coming on the show and the sudden boost in numbers is tied together somehow. It seems like
There you go.
that seems accurate to me. Hearthstone, as side news, hit over 25 million registered players. That is huge numbers. And Heroes of the Storm has 9 million users registered for beta up to this point. Still more happening all of the time. That seems like good news for that game.
Did you listen to it? Because I only saw news, and people were saying that Hearthstone and Destiny were kind of lumped together as a $850 million
for revenue.
Yeah, revenue. So how much do you reckon of that 850 was Destiny, and how much was Hearthstone?
Well, that is a weird thing for them to do, by the way.
Yeah, what do you buy in Destiny? Because I don't even play that game.
You buy
Just
DLC. Yeah, you buy the game.
No, you buy
and
the
there's
game and
DLC.
the DLC.
That's it. There's
Yeah.
not like there's not like add-on items in the game or anything.
It's
No.
not like $1.50 every day doing arenas and
Yeah.
stuff. No.
But no, you can't like buy like gear sets or anything that
Nope.
looks cool or anything like that.
No,
Nothing?
it's only
Okay.
it's a couple of content patches. One of them is already out, and the next one should be out in April. But you can buy a season pass to get both.
Yeah.
And yeah,
My feeling
So
is
then you
that-
can probably take the number of sales that they had and then multiply it by how much the game cost
Sure.
and subtract that from the total number and find out what Hearthstone made.
you
right?
probably can. It's the idea of them putting
well,
them
not
together.
really, because you don't know how many DLCs they've sold.
Right. But them lumping
Oh,
those two
yeah.
together is a little bit weird in the sense that it creates a smokescreen and says, all right, well, Destiny, while it did well and creamed it on consoles and all this stuff, I don't think Destiny performed anywhere near their forecasts, and I think lumping it in
Yeah, it's
with
almost like
something like Hearthstone is just a way
It's
for them to
softening
show
the
that.
blow.
Yeah, for them to hide that a bit. So who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's new IPs, isn't it?
yeah, but I don't want to
I
be.
think it's the only two new IPs they've had.
And I don't want to
I
be
mean, that was the
grumpy.
point,
I'm not
yeah,
trying to be
but
grumpy about
still,
that game because I know
It's
I.
annoying because I'd like to know how much money Hearthstone's made, because I could easily claim like 8% of that. I've definitely paid a lot of money buying cards that only exist on my iPad now.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they didn't say, and that's unfortunate because I'd like to figure it out. We probably could figure that out though if you could find the number of people who
But yeah, like Patrick saying the DLC being involved, that those numbers probably aren't released anywhere, right? And so it'd be tough to know exactly. But
They
I
have
think it's
estimates.
a little odd, but they knew that they could get away because like you guys said, oh, these are both the new IPs, so lumping them together seems fine when we're just doing an earnings call. But if you're somebody who's really into just one of those games, you want to know the exact number for that particular game.
Yeah.
But it's a
Well,
smokescreen for sure.
It's a lot of money still. I mean, no matter how you cut
Yes.
it, it's a decent amount of.
It's incredible amount of cash. Everybody wants to be them right now. Heroes of the Storm with 9 million users registered. That means a good proportion of those, or a big portion of those, has to be the buy-in to the beta people. I don't know what that percentage is because they didn't say. I'd be very curious about that because that's
There's
like
not 9 million people playing that game, that's for sure. Because if you log in at any given time, I mean, I know there's there's some separate servers, right? But there's not that many people online.
Yeah.
Registered
for beta. Yeah.
Want to get the beta? Yeah.
Registered for beta doesn't necessarily translate to currently playing. Maybe even
have the. Yeah.
Sure. They may not even have been notified that they are in the beta yet. They're just registered for it. So who knows?
I don't think. No, registered isn't invited. I think registered is people who have actually taken the time to, get registered in the game.
Yeah. That's my whole point. And if that's true, then I want to know how many of that player base, whatever is playing, how many of them paid for that buy into the beta thing, where as soon as the beta opened, they could spend money.
I don't know.
On an opener.
I don't think that would be, because the founders pack just was started, a couple of weeks ago, right? Mm-hmm. And the real question is how many of those 9 million are active. Mm-hmm. But that being said, it doesn't matter all that much because it just entered beta now, a couple of weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, closed beta, and it wasn't available for almost anyone in Europe until that time. So I think it's still, I don't know that it's going to progress immensely, but it still has the possibility to do so.
Did we want to discuss?
9 million is great, but at the same time, it's free and it's an intent. It's not even like these people are playing the game or can.
All right.
But the limiting factor isn't the price, or the limiting factor is the fact that it's a beta and they're still inviting only a few people, unless you want to shell out $35, which in this case means it's not free. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's not. I think 9 million under those conditions isn't bad, but if it's 7 million who got in 6 months ago and haven't played for that time, it's different than if it's 8 million active players.
So this last week, that news, not news, but those rumors were circulating around internally about what Heroes was being seen as, and they were thinking about shifting everybody off of Diablo onto some unknown StarCraft IP and all this stuff that was floating around. Blizzard, and Blizzard felt the need to actually address it and say that is absolutely not a project they're working on.
Codswallop, they said.
They did.
But then that's why, again, because they said there were 75 million Hearthstone players, and in this earnings call, they said there's 25 million. Mm-hmm. So I think you have to take it with
there was,
salt.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. I'd forgotten about
so much ridiculous stuff. It was, and Blizzard does not get out of their cave to say this is bullcrap very often. The line is, we don't comment on rumors and speculation unless you really, my suspicion is that if it goes so far that it's completely ridiculous and that it could affect stock prices, like if people start believing that the team on Diablo isn't there anymore and that they have, as you were saying, Terpster, 75 million registered players on Hearthstone when in actuality you have 25.
Yeah.
It could have an effect.
Bots, those other 50 million. Yeah. I think they all play Shaman. That's the thing.
Well, you ask how exaggerated those rumors were. I would say,
really,
that's how much they are. I give it 2 Patrick Reillys.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that expression. What does it?
You haven't
mean?
heard that before? Well,
really.
When you hear that means it's the most extreme way of explaining something.
It's a lot. It's like a huge thing.
Yeah,
an
not
enormous
small.
amount. Right, I get it. Thank you.
Not small. All right. Well, that's going on. BlackRock Foundry getting good reviews from Raiders thus far. Anybody been in there? Anybody seen any of the content? Okay, great.
I'm 6:30. No, I'm 26, 20. I can't remember. I'm
6'4'7", and I haven't left my garrison in like 2 months. It's like, honestly, I have logged me in on my iPad. I have a baby in one hand, and I'm like using Mission Planner and 100%ing garrison missions on the other. Mm-hmm. So it's just the odd Heimel raid, rare mission, and grandiose axes and all these other things I get through there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait to jump into once Raid Finder opens up on BlackRock. I'm gonna love it. But we've got another 2 weeks for that.
Yeah.
Hasn't it opened yet?
No, Raid Finder's 2 weeks for BlackRock.
Yeah.
Slag works.
It's normal and heroic right now. You can only do normal and heroic at the moment.
So I'm
still
flex, on track.
Yeah, you're fine.
I
mean, our
and
our team wanted to kind of be there. Maybe not by now, but we're getting there. We're like, what were we, 5 of 7 the other night, Dills? Something like that, Sunday? Whatever it was.
The team's 5 of 7, and we've done heroic car gas and stuff too, and like so. I mean, we're not far off.
We'll get there.
Pretty
Not
soon.
messing around.
But here's the thing, Terp. So you just described maybe what's going on with these subs not dropping off quickly, and that is now you actually have. So you have like basically a 2-month window there.
Yeah.
Where you had a baby, you got stuff to do. It's impossible to play WoW the way you want to for that period of time. Normally, people might use that time to cancel, at least temporarily, until they can get back to normal.
Yeah.
But instead, you found a way to keep playing because of garrisons and other things that are in this expansion. And I'm just positing the idea that is the difference this time around, that maybe the slowed drop-off
I think so.
is that.
I think for me, it's more so because I can play it on an iPad, and it's a part of the game I can experience without having to kind of actually sit down at a PC with two hands, one on a keyboard and a mouse, and the other hand on my penis. That I can now get away with that on the iPad. So for me, it's a nice.
Would you have
I
unsubbed?
I might mine forever.
Well, he wouldn't have unsubbed. No way.
Right. So that's what I'm getting at. Terpster would not have unsubbed anyway. So I'm wondering if the kind of person who would play on their iPad with the log me in and the right mod isn't the kind of person who wouldn't have unsubbed anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think it's less so.
Maybe.
Again, I think
Maybe
for
a
some
little bit
people
of
though,
both.
garrisons just keep people busy,
Sure.
and that's
Yeah.
the laugh of it. Is
But
Simon
the
at
garrisons
work
are
is
also
playing like across 3 alts and doing the mining on all of them. I think it's insane because there's just no fun to be had. But yeah, garrisons just suck people in.
Sure.
Yeah, sorry, Dils.
Dils, go ahead.
I've actually stopped doing garrisons almost completely. I send my followers back out when I log in, and then I go off and do other stuff. I really think that what's keeping people around right now is the fact that the content is moving quick enough, and things like LFR mean you don't have to have a dedicated team to feel like you're like staying on top of content. The fact that we talked about the content maybe coming too quick for us, Scott. For people who just raid LFR, which is actually probably a bigger number than we give credit for, is like they're done with LFR.
Yeah, they're ready
now
for next.
Now they're moving on to the next one. It's like, oh, it's actually here. It's coming.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting around waiting for it. So while
that's a good
garrisons
point.
might have something to do with it, I do think that everything outside in the world is moving fast enough that the people who are doing it at the more casual level are able to kind of move into the next thing before they get bored.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
It
guess.
makes sense to stick around, Yeah.
I feel like one
Like,
of
in
those
the past,
Japanese
you would
soldiers
get
after
too
World War
cranky.
II, though.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly, I haven't left my garrison. I don't know what's going on. Like, anything could be happening out there. I have no idea. And that's the thing. It's like Dils is saying, the fact I can queue for LFR is great. I don't have to leave. I can just queue into that. But even then, like, there is literally, I don't know what the world looks like. Are there still people around, or is everyone in their garrisons?
No, there's stuff. There's world
No,
bosses. It's
there's
crazy.
stuff. There's
Yeah.
stuff all
There's all kinds of
Yeah.
things. PvP is
But I
crazy
think
right now.
it's
Like all that
a
stuff. Go ahead, Dils.
It's a combination of all those things.
Yeah.
It's the fact that the garrison might keep this guy, and then the LFR content might keep this guy, and now PvP content is moving fast enough, and you feel like you can gear up fast enough there, and just kind of all of it together is the reason why. Like, I think we'll settle in around 9 million.
I just
Which is
think
so-
I agree, but I still feel like there is a portion. They're not doing like Terpster where he's in bed with his iPad and has some crazy linked up way of doing it. There are people who are checking in on their computer a couple times a day, running those garrison missions, doing their stuff and getting out. That is enough, I think, for a significant portion of players to stick around longer than they would have because there's this thing to constantly be checking on. And I think that makes a big difference.
I mean, the rate of the renewal of content is also super important, I think. The rates, as Dils was saying. Overall, it's like all the pieces are coming together in the right way, right? It comes down to the fact that it's, as we've been saying for 3 months, a freaking good expansion.
Yeah. Yes. And nice. And I pardon your French. Jeez. Pardon your French, Patrick.
I said freaking.
I know. That's why I'm teasing you. So
because I thought
Sounded
if you
like
want, I can
king.
use I can use the other word if you want.
Sure, why not?
I'm fine with that.
let's get that. Let's finally get that.
Fracking is the word.
Whoa, okay,
Oh, easy
Mr.
there.
Gasoline.
Sheesh. Throwing some fuel on that fire, baby. WoW Insider officially gone now. Wanted to ask Terpster how he felt about this. We talked about it last week, but it's kind of a...
It's obviously very close to my heart, Scott. From the time I was there, I was known as, like the heart and soul of WoW Insider, and they'd all come to me and they'd say, Terps, what do you reckon about this? Should we post this leak? And I'd say, guys, we're WoW Insider. That's what we do. But
from your throne.
ultimately, yeah, I think it's what's more telling is that they've now opened, was it Blizzard Watch?
Blizzard Watch.
And
Mhm.
they have like, I think 10 grand coming in on
13.
Patreon or something like that.
13 now, yeah.
13,000 now,
Easy
yeah.
money.
Yeah.
So it goes to show that people love it. And I think, they're great. Matthew Rossi, an amazing kind of charismatic guy. I love what they're doing. At the same time, I hadn't read WoW Insider for ever, really. And I think that's the same thing with Joystick as well. I don't go to websites anymore like that. I go to Reddit, and if a website has written something of particular interest, it will be there. So I think that the whole website model is an interesting one. So I wasn't shocked when they went.
Are you saying websites are dead? Is that your?
That's my. Well,
You've moved on.
I said news websites. Yeah, I think they are.
There's a bit of a bubble right now for sure. There's no question about that.
Well, there might be
real
too
value
many
in
of
it.
them. But
Yeah. Well, that's
you
that's-
realize that you do realize, T, that if there isn't a website to link to from Reddit, then you don't link it.
Yeah,
to
no,
from
exactly.
Reddit,
But
right?
for example, WoW Insider for the longest time was telling me stuff that I'd read on MMO Champion 2 days before. It wasn't even like they were reposting particularly quickly. The best stuff they did were the lore and opinion pieces, and it was then kind of churned out, the queue every day. And it was the sort of thing where, like, I hope now that they take this kind of freedom and new start to kind of just get back to doing the good stuff. And I'd hope, again, by being funded via Patreon, if people aren't, loving what they're seeing, that will directly impact that. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we see some good stuff.
It's a great way to get an initial boost. I've seen this happen a bunch of times, and I don't mean this in a negative way at all. But when there's like a firing or a shutting down, or someone is taking away your beloved thing, those tend to be really, really great crowdfunded projects, because everybody is still a little sore from you being shut down or fired or taken away, and they want to throw there's a feeling of, we got to back this underdog and we got to do it now. Now it's up to those guys to make good on it, and I think that they can do a lot of good over there. And the fact that they're broadening their view to more than just WoW and covering more of Blizzard in general, I mean, I'll be happy to have that resource as a thing to look to. So I say more power to them. I hope it works out. I think it should. And it looks like they've got, enough people behind it that the quality should come. It's interesting, though. You mentioned like long form content, like more essay style and, lore pieces and things. That does seem to be the way a lot of these sites are going, those that are still around. It's basically the way Kotaku decided to go, and to mixed results, in my opinion. But they've created a site that is less about breaking news from EA Sports or something, and more like, isn't it weird how Solid Snake smokes cigarettes in the credits? Here's an animated GIF. That's a little bit more of a story or whatever.
I mean, obviously, your example was terrible.
It was awful, yeah.
Exactly. But I think that's probably true, and that's probably an article they've written. But yeah, I think that's the truth of it. But yeah, so it's nice. Like I said, BlizzardWatch.com. Check them out. They're good guys and they do some good work.
Yeah.
Let's just hope they don't fall into a formulaic, repost thing. But
Well,
who knows?
there's certainly there was an audience for WoW Insider, and it probably wasn't big enough to satisfy AOL, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, and that's a resizing. In the same way that Dig folded, kind of, the Dig audience folded into Reddit, it wasn't enough for the ambitions of Dig, but it's enough for Reddit, and I'm guessing that it wasn't enough for the ambitions of AOL for WoW Insider, but it's probably enough for Alex Zebart and the team to keep Blizzard Watch alive. There's certainly an audience, right? It might not be huge, it might not be big, but there are some people that are willing to go to the site, and hopefully it's enough to make them to keep their
It's what the internet's
them making
about,
a living.
catering for niches. We have a niche.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone has a niche, right?
Yeah.
I hate the word niche. I hate that word. Here in America, they say niche, but I know it's niche.
It's a
A
niche.
niche.
Yeah.
Hey,
The niche.
I caught the golden niche. No. But yeah. Anyway.
Go after the golden niche. All right, here is we got a great.
So, what's up?
I know that's really weird. We have We have a great question about LFR here from a listener. His name is Luli from the EU, and he says this: Dear Instance team members, now that Warlords of Draenor is progressing with new raids coming in, I started to be worried about alts in the near future. For the moment, eye level restrictions are set to 615 for LFR Highmaul, and will reach 635 for the Foundry, and probably something around 650 for the next raid tier. When it comes to that point, if you reach level 100 with a new alt, I am quite worried whether it will still be easy to find LFR for Highmaul or the Foundry to gear up to that eye level 650, or if we will have any other way to reach that threshold. Well, you know, you can do it with garrisons if Terpster's any example. I'm afraid of getting stuck to heroic dungeons or having to chain battlegrounds to gear up using honor points. What's your feeling about that? Love the show and enjoy it every time. Luli. Yeah, it's a good point, right? Because it's always an issue with LFR. The hot one that's going on, you'll get in, but pretty quick you're not.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, they often have other ways to get you to the eye level you need. Sometimes it's dungeons, that will get you excellent gear. They introduce new dungeons. I don't know that that's going to be the case for the next patches, but most of the time you always have people, at least some people, running those lower raids with their alts, and usually it gets a lot easier because you have at least a few people who are over-geared for that LFR, so it goes very quickly. I'm not super worried as long as you have, there's 10 million people playing the game. You only need a few, let's say, 1,000 to be running that LFR now that you have cross server for everything, basically. Yeah. So no, I wouldn't be worried. Everyone's leveling alt. If you are, chances are other people will be as well. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Patrick's right. I mean, every time they reach a new tier, you end up with like a new rep grind or a new dungeon or something that allows you to get higher eye level gear. So yeah, I wouldn't be too worried. I imagine 6.1 will come with something that helps you gear up a bit quicker.
Yeah, I'm kind of into the Dills method. The PvP method's pretty good, given the fact that you don't have to have PvP specific gear anymore, or that whole gear homogenization thing, which I know some people lament, but I think it's an awesome alternative way.
PvP is an amazing way to gear up.
Yeah.
It was easier with old Ashran, but new Ashran it's not quite as quick, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, battlegrounds are great.
Yeah.
It just depends on
well,
how much fun you have.
You could do a combination of all of the things, which is what makes it so that none of this, like, you don't have to choose one method and then go.
Yeah.
You fill in all your missing slots with some PvP gear, which is actually really comparable to the stuff you can get from the early heroics and all that kind of stuff. You get the 620 level stuff from there, just from doing honor stuff, which will go up actually when the new season comes. It'll probably be the 660 gear for honor, so that's just going to be a huge way to get into the new things. And then of course you got, like you guys mentioned, the garrison missions, which you actually you kind of qualify for them by doing the earlier LFRs. So I imagine when you're doing the next LFR, it will then qualify you to get gear that comes from that specific one, and things like that. So it's all like everything. You don't have anything to worry about. It's all going to kind of slowly build up so that when the next tier is out, the things that you do now that got you into Highmaul will actually be high enough eye level to get you into the next thing, and that will always continue.
And Terpster,
so
you say you're 647, and you really haven't left the garrison. That's just crazy to me. That's awesome, though. I guess. I mean, that's
I've done LFR, once or twice.
Sure.
But yeah, it's all garrison stuff.
That's crazy.
And the
you get
legendary
655 stuff out of there when you do the actual Highmaul raid stuff. It's
you do,
really high level stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a Warforged Highmaul neck piece of 661 from my garrison quest.
Wow.
Yeah, you can get some amazing stuff out there. And the thing is every week I'll run into my inn, I'll request a epic mount follower, and like every now and then you luck out and you get epic mount and burst of power. And honestly, I've got a team. They're all epic. They're all item 645 or higher followers that just literally everything's 100%. So there's no more leveling apart from the one I bring on new that week.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great way to kind of, like I said, play a little game that isn't necessarily WoW, but like I kind of feel like, you know, this is what the quest givers have had this whole time.
Yeah.
All this fun.
Also, babies.
That's my fun.
Babies make it happen. We got another email from Dawson who says, there's still more story to come.
We got Dawson here.
We got Dawson
No
here.
one cares.
Cow. You're making me in the mood for Jurassic Park. Don't do that in the morning. That's bad. That's like drinking whiskey in the morning. All right. Cow Tangle Grunt here from Trollbane. My question is about the Horde side of the Draenor. At the beginning, Thrall seemed excited to see his dad, but why did Thrall not acknowledge that was his father? Why did he not bring it up to him at all? Just want your thoughts on this. Keep up the great show. All right, here's the deal.
Easy.
They are not done telling this story yet. This
No,
we are at a point.
Scott.
What?
Durotan is like a 10,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Thrall is like a 7 at best. He's green, okay? He's confronted with this big hunk of an orc, okay? Regardless of relation, he sees him and he's like, oh my God, that guy's like just so beautiful. And, you know, it's very hard to have a conversation with someone as beautiful as Durotan. So literally, he like probably goes over to him and he just doesn't really know what to say. He's like, "Oh, Lok'tar, Durotan, lovely weather here in this. I mean, it's snowing, but you know, it's kind of, you know, it's orky, isn't it? Anyway, so I'll see you around." You know?
It's a little awkward. Clearly.
Damn it, Thrall!
Yeah.
You messed it up again.
I
Are
guarantee
you saying Thrall has romantic feelings for his dad?
Weird.
It's
Is
a
that what you're
Freudian
saying?
thing. It's not actually his dad. It's an alternate version of his dad. His dad is dead.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that Durotan's a 10.
Here-
okay?
here's-
and it's very hard to have a conversation.
This
with
is
them.
what's happening. There will be a father-son moment in this lore before these 3 patches are done. I promise you that. I promise you there will be something, an exchanged look, a moment of reckoning, another death, something will
Whoa,
reveal this
don't-
father thing.
Don't do a death.
Well,
Speaking of death, like I mean, I haven't listened to the show, so you probably already talked about it.
Yeah.
Do you reckon all the war chiefs are going to come back as Death Knights in like the last, last raid? Because Gul'dan made the first Death Knight. He made Terran Gore, Gorefiend, and we've got Terran Gore now, and like all these war chiefs just seem to be dying quite quickly.
I'd be into that.
And I'm kind of feeling like, you know, surely, you know, Gul'dan, you know, Nazul, maybe something can happen. I don't know. I kind of hope that we can see these guys come back because they've all died too quick.
Yeah, taking down Kargath
kind
as
of
quickly as you take down Kargath and Heimal.
Like Kargath
Yeah.
is the first boss in the first raid.
Right.
Nazul, we kill. I mean, technically, it kind of was in a void, which is probably a bad idea to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But like, that's in like a 5-man dungeon. That's like the Lich King, pre-Lich King. I just really hope that they bring them all back. So who knows? Maybe Durotan will die and then come back as Death Knight, and then he might be like an 8 or maybe even a 7, and then Thrall will be like, I can finally tell this guy I'm the son.
All right, I like it. I'm into how this all plays out.
I'm not an insider, okay?
No.
They have quadrupled their art team, I think mainly to make all these Death Knights.
Yeah. Well, wasn't the word is they've outsourced a ton of art? Isn't that true?
Well, that is, again, because they had to, you know, find people who specialized in Death Knights.
Ah, I see. It's all
it's,
supporting your theory.
They didn't have anyone to draw skulls and spikes at Blizzard.
Mm-hmm.
So
They were all
completely makes
working
sense.
on the new StarCraft, like MOBA
Shooter
tower defense game.
Sure, shooter tower defense Left 4 Dead game, right? Yeah,
And it's
looking forward to it.
called Life for Ire.
Dude,
And
who
that's
am I
what it is,
kidding?
yeah.
I would play that game. It doesn't matter. Rumor or not, I would play whatever the hell that would be. Blizzard is punishing casual players, says this reader who wrote in, says, hello, Scott and Instance Crew. This is Nochi from Zuljin. He says this, is Blizzard punishing casual players? 2 cases in point. First, loot drops look terrible for dungeons, heroic and normal. And not only do you get the non-tier gear in LFR, but general loot high mall looks like the same gear my peons are wearing. Secondly, this is what is with the long wait for LFR release dates. Thanks for the weekly show. It makes my commute much more enjoyable. I don't think the LFR release dates are all that long. I think this stuff's coming fast and.
We have 2 weeks. We're 2 weeks behind the full timers. We're like the part-time reserves. I like to think of us as like the raiding reserves.
Yeah.
You know, if there was a world war, in Azeroth, we would get called up,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not like the day-to-day standing army. But yeah, 2 weeks behind isn't too bad.
But don't you guys
for what
feel-
is literally face roll time?
Right. But
Like,
the gear being kind of poopy for dungeons and no tier gear in LFR and the gear looking kind of like the basic quest gear and all that.
transmog anything anyway. It doesn't matter.
Well,
You know,
yeah,
you know.
but don't you see it? It's just another way for them to encourage people to get into teams and do heroics and have heroic raids and get the better stuff and get tiered gear, and like it's just another carrot. They're saying,
I think the word, punishing casual players is kind of harsh. I don't think it's punishing. I think there is a balance that they are trying to strike between making casual. Also, I hate the word casual used in there because it's kind of, you're always someone's casual. Like this guy, apparently, Nochi is apparently doing LFR all the time. I'm sure there are some people who do it a lot less and who aren't ready to jump into, the next tier of LFR even now, pointing fingers at me right now. I can't believe I'm so casual that I'm not ready yet.
Patrick, don't take it personally. It's not like your job is to like play games or anything like that. Don't worry about it. Okay, you can't be expected to achieve a very simple thing like raise an item level on a single character. It's fine. Exactly. Yeah, don't worry about it.
It's all good.
I agree. But yeah, I mean, there is certainly a balance being stricken.
Stracked, sure. I like
Stracked.
stracked.
Yeah,
Stracked,
definitely.
being stracked.
Yeah, I like it.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Shogal. And so the thing is, the biggest hint about this is the removal of tier gear, of tier sets from LFR. I think that was the biggest indication that they probably took it a little bit too far in the equivalence between LFR and the other things. And they thought, all right, let's scale it down a little bit and see what happens. And that's what we have. I wouldn't call it punishing casuals, though.
No, we call LFR tummy tickle. Because basically it's the equivalent of just going in there, just you're just having a little tickle time with the boss, really.
Basically,
and it's just
it's easy.
It's not hard in any way, shape, or form. You don't have to use. I mean, I tanked. What's the last boss's name? Imperator
Imperator Margok.
Yeah, Margok.
Yeah,
I tanked him. First time, didn't know what I was doing. Kind of opened the dungeon journal, and then someone was like, "Oh my god, it's Turfster," and I was like, "Oh yeah, it's me." And then all of a sudden I realized, like, oh shit, pressure's on. Okay, I obviously I front that I'm a badass player of the video games. Yeah. But now the pressure was on.
Yeah. How'd you do?
And it turned out, it was easy.
It's pretty dead easy. Yeah. Keep aggro.
First time kept aggro, didn't get killed. Yeah. Got too many stacks. The other tank knew what he's doing. I quickly got the hang of it. Yeah. Job's a good one.
That sounds about right. I don't think anybody's contesting how easy LFR is now and their intent to make it so. I think what that comes with, though, is, your gear's not going to be as cool. It's not going to look awesome. It's not going to have giant flames coming out of the pauldrons. It's going to be kind of normal, and that's fine because it's got the stats you want. There's a reason to be in there. It's also kind of a cool show to see, and it was real easy, and this gear is commensurate to that. It's not like it doesn't fit the job. And they want you to desire things like finding a good group, getting into a 25-man scenario, getting heroics. Like, they want you to go there. And this is just a taste of what that's like. So, if anything, this is kind of more like what LFR maybe should have been all along, which is a much easier, much less rewarding experience that drives you to want the more rewarding ones. But still rewarding in its own way. You've seen the story, you've seen the lore, you've gotten some gear.
It does feel a little bit like a tour bus, though, doesn't it? Like, here you are, on your right, you'll see, Kargath Bladefist. Mm-hmm. Say hi, Kargath. He's waving. Oh, his hand fell off. Okay, don't worry. Up ahead, we've got the Butcher. And it's just like,
the first group is definitely super easy. Second one, easy. And Margok, I'm ashamed to admit, because of my co-LFR players, we wiped a couple of times earlier today.
Oh shit!
Certainly because we didn't have Terpster tanking.
You didn't have me tanking up a storm.
But it does happen. It does happen.
What I do like, though, as well, is they've split the last boss into his own instance. So because if they'd done that for Siege. Oh, I would have loved that so much. I only wanted to kill Garrosh week in, week out. I didn't want any of the bosses. Garrosh dropped all the cool stuff, and it's like I had to kill these other two. Have a really lot. It's horrible. Whereas now, if they carry this on, tip of the hat to you, Blizzard. My fedora is tipped because that would be beautiful. I'd love that.
Yeah, it'd be all right. Yeah, I think we can all agree. Oh, I think his connection went to poop. We lost Dills.
He's gone.
He's just being super silent.
He can get back in.
We're being right for everything, and he only speaks when he needs to correct us. And now he doesn't.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. His DPS right now, I mean, I don't mean to compliment while he's not here, but good Lord.
No, it's the best time to do it. Yeah.
Creaming it. All right, let's, we got some calls. Let's do these. They are part of this.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Why, it's the town crier.
Oh, goody. Boy, he couldn't do that voice now if he tried. He's 15 or 14
really?
and just has the lowest voice now, yeah.
They grow up so fast.
They really do, dude. But you know what? Yeah. 1 minute they're pooping a diaper and keeping you up at night. The next minute they're leaving the house to go to college. So look forward to that.
As long as I get to sleep, that sounds great.
Your phone calls come to us at 801-471-0462. That's 801-471-0462. Or as always, you can send your attachments and emails like we've been reading in this show to theinstance@gmail.com. We have some phone calls here. The first one deals with more Garrison things.
Hey, Instance crew. This is Ugarax on the Kill Jaden server. I was thinking about it recently. Do you think Blizzard will ever let players purchase Hearthstone packs using their World of Warcraft gold? Or maybe even put in Garrison quests that give packs as rewards or Hearthstone gold? Just wanted to get your thoughts on it. Love the show.
So we've talked about this before about rewards with Hearthstone as a reward piece in the game, like a boss dropping a card that's a legendary card or something. So I feel like we've talked that to death. But the idea of spending your excess gold, which a lot of people have in the game.
So they've got the
That's
new
interesting.
money for gold for money, game time, Plex
tokens,
thing coming in.
Yeah.
So Blizzard's starting to kind of get a standardized value on gold. If that works out so that you knew that, 1,000 gold was worth $1, then I guess they could do like 1,500 gold. But even then, it's just, I don't think there's any value for them in that because you can cash out through the tokens.
Sure.
And then buy it with money.
Or it's just easier to spend $1, or not everyone can, I suppose, but I don't know.
Yeah, some people can't. I mean, first of all, can we acknowledge how badass this caller's name sounds? Ugarax.
Oh, dead Ugarax, dude. It's bad.
Ugarax.
I can't wait to raid and kill him in Tanan Jungle. That's definitely going to be an end tier
it's like
boss.
You can hear the dread in people's voices. They're like,
exactly.
Oh, good Lord, no, it's Ugarax.
We will never be slaves. Ugarax, you tell him. Oh, yeah, we won't be slaves. Ugarax, don't talk again, actually. Your name's far more scary than your voices.
Basically. You sound like a little goblin.
But yeah, but the thing is, if you start playing around with the, convert gold into packs, into something else, into whatever, I think the biggest issue is that you open yourself to a lot of weird loopholes, or not loopholes, but potential exploits, where if you do this and that in that game, then you can get more than if you do that, and then people start doing it and sell gold for less money or whatever. I think it's a very dangerous thing to do, and I don't see it happening anytime soon, although I couldn't have seen the token thing happening either, so maybe.
I really like
and regarding cards
though, if you had it from a Garrison quest, and as long as you could still get it in Hearthstone, like maybe you got like a golden version of a card or something like that you then couldn't also dust, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
But I could see it happening at some point in the future. They're probably not going to abuse it, though. It's not like you're going to start seeing it everywhere. Maybe one card. I mean, there's already you can already get a mount if you play Hearthstone, right?
You get the Hearthstone mount.
The Hearthsteed, yeah. Which and they haven't done anything more. I think it can get you have to be careful with those, but I could see it happening.
I wish there was more reason for when he's walking through town and you can buy the toy and stuff. Like once you've done that, I wish there were more random reasons why he would pop something cool. Like I don't know, anything really. Just give me something that's worth. Give me a card I can trade him for gold in the game, or just the tie-ins. I just think is a real opportunity. I know that it doesn't necessarily need it. The game's got 20 million players and is doing fine. But I've always just loved this idea that because these universes are tapped together, I like the fun idea of it all crossing over and not just in a couple of in-jokes, but actual meaningful ways. I don't know what those are or if has anything to do with money. I wish there was more of that in the game. So on that point, I at least agree with the caller on that. How about this? How about Ro, who called in and has a couple of quick questions for us?
Hey, Scott, it's Ro coming to you from my second home in Draenor. WoW's stable at 10 million subs, so it would appear Blizzard's definitely doing something right. My first question for each of you is, what do you feel that exactly is? At least, what do you feel they're doing right for you?
Okay, so let's pause there before we get to a second question. What is it you guys think is keeping people in? I guess we've kind of talked about this. I mean, I think it's garrisons and other reasons to check into the game more frequently. But is that all there is? I mean, is this raid content more compelling? Is PvP better? Is it something else that you can't quantify?
I think there's going to be a different answer to that. As many different answers as there are players. For some, it's PvP. That's cool. Again, quote unquote. For some, it's the rate of release of new content. For some, it's the leveling experience, which was far superior to the other ones, according to them. And it's what we were saying. They're doing basically everything right. They're doing a great expansion.
Terpster, thoughts?
Yeah, I would say Garrisons has to be.
Yeah.
I think the story and quest and experience is fantastic. Equally, the fact that you start at 90 for so many people coming back to the game, it means that they now are like super OP and can go back and do old content. They could play with their friends. Everyone's a winner. So yeah, I just think there's just literally so many different things you could say, and they'd all be right in their own little ways.
Well, there you have it. Let's read. That's a definitive right there. Let's read this one, or no? Let's finish his. I guess he has more. Here you go.
Yesterday, Duncan Jones, the Warcraft movie director, spent a lot of time on Twitter. He's really proud of the movie, acknowledging that game-to-film adaptations have a checkered past. In one of his tweets, he said, "We're trying to work out how best to let people who don't play the game know that this is a film they'll genuinely want to see." So my second question to you is, how would you promote the Warcraft movie? Do you completely ignore the publicity that's based on a game? How do they let non-WoW players know that this is indeed something worth watching on the big screen? Congrats on 400 episodes, and see you Sunday.
Thanks, Ro, of the Realm Maintenance Podcast. People can check that out on iTunes.
Easy.
Yeah,
easy, Scott.
Which, by the way, the latest episode of the Realm Maintenance podcast is, I think, entirely comprised of an interview with me.
Yeah, I heard it was good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
I'm not listening to
it
that,
was
then.
super enjoyable for me, at least. So, if you want to find out if it's enjoyable for you as well, go to the Realm. What is with
Realm.
Words are
That
tough.
Cho'Gall stuff really messed you up.
Anyway,
dude.
Scott, to promote the movie to non-WoW fans, easy.
Yeah.
What I'd do is I would make a massive version of Gorehowl and put it through a taxi in the middle of Times Square, and everyone would be like, "Oh my God, there's that movie!
Yeah.
Oh, I cannot wait!" and all of that, and that's what I think. I think everyone would get it then. I think that's.
I think a series. Look, people are primed for good fantasy. I don't think that's even a hard sell. I think you don't focus on that it's based on a game because I think that has some sour connotations for a lot of people in the mainstream. I think you do cool things like Terpster just suggested. Actually, that's a cool viral thing to do. But also just have really good trailers and show them often and get the word out there about your big fantasy epic and focus less on the fact that it's based on a game. Those who know will know. Those who won't think they're getting more cool Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, kind of whatever. And
I cannot wait for the Lord of the Rings Hobbit kind of whatever.
I know,
That'd be
right?
amazing.
It's the 5th book. It's finally Peter Jackson can put his camera
That'd be
down
good.
after that.
It's going to do a new trilogy based on the bit that happens in between that sort of 20 minutes between the end of The Hobbit and the beginning of Lord of the Rings.
That's the one. It's a
Films.
tough time to
8
be alive.
hours total. It's going to be beautiful.
Haven't the Tolkien estate said that he will never touch the Silmarillion with Silmarillion?
That's
which is the last remaining piece of
Silmarillion,
work.
yeah, exactly. I think that's messed
Silmarillion.
up, really.
And he will never touch it. They were like, F that guy.
Well, he says
Anyway.
never touch it, but he touched a lot of it. Like a lot of the secondary characters and stuff that weren't in these books are pulled out of there. You know, like that. Isn't that White Orc out of there?
Maybe.
I mean,
Maybe,
it's anyway. Yeah, it's yeah.
So what would you do to promote the movie, Scott? So how would you make people do it?
Scott, I thought you were going to ask
Oh,
me.
Patrick,
go
how
ahead,
would you do it?
Patrick. How
Anyone,
would you
I don't
do it?
really
I
care.
have.
I'm
I
not
have
going to
no
listen.
idea. Cheese and wine.
Okay.
You know,
all right.
like go and no, but I mean, yeah, I would agree that you should probably separate yourself from the game a little bit. It has to stand on its own merit.
Mm-hmm.
And saying this is the movie from the game, I don't think is going to serve anyone because the people who enjoy the game are going to go see it anyway, and the people who
100
don't,
million people have played.
yeah,
And
exactly.
10 million continue to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Comes
Yeah,
a film
and those-
from the guy who brought
those
you
who-
Source Code with Jake Gyllenhaal and Moon with Sam Rockwell.
Yes.
And it's gonna be good. Honestly, I promise you, it's a good film. Check it out in cinemas now.
Yeah.
I'd watch it. It'd be good.
Of course you would. If it's just breathtakingly cool looking trailers, that's often all you need to get people excited. And that's, they're it's not like fantasy's a new thing for them. Do this, 15 years ago, maybe you'd run into some trouble. But I think now you've got everybody's cool with comic books and fantasy in their movies on the mainstream level. It'll be fine. And I'm really excited because it's clear that they've done this, at least from what we can tell, they have done this the way they should do this.
I think the
Well,
orcs are going to look good enough that they just put them on a poster and everyone's going to be like, holy crap, man. Are you going to check out the orc film? Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Orcs are badass.
And I mean, their biggest asset in all of this is that a lot of the people working on the film, including the director, are genuine World of Warcraft players who are also excellent at their actual job.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, which is a key
I think,
thing.
again, if all else fails, Giant Gorehowl.
Right.
And nothing to me says mass mainstream awareness than a niche reference to a item. Giant Gorehowl.
All right, how about this? How about being told that they're going to come and see something really amazing and very unique, and it's called Pound Fist, and you all have to wait 8 hours in front of a movie
Have you
theater
got one
to see
yet?
it.
I haven't got a Pound Fish yet.
No.
Screw it. I spent about 6 hours one Saturday doing it. I realized, oh shit, I could have been playing WoW.
Yeah.
A
bunch of guildies texted me while I was in the shower one morning, like a Wednesday morning, and said,
What were you
"Dude,
wearing?
get in." There's Zero in there, and they said, "Get in right now. We're doing this. He's popped. We're all there. Get in real quick. You got like 5 minutes. We'll do all we can to fend off jerks and stuff." So I didn't get the call till I got out. I ran down here in a towel, fired up WoW, got in right when everybody said,
out along the way?
"Grats, everybody, grats!" I'm like, shite. I missed it by like literally like 30 seconds. I was so pissed. So yeah, still no Pound Fist for me. Pound Pissed, I call him now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think his name's pretty, suggestive to begin with, but yeah, definitely.
Kind of is, isn't it? Okay, we got a last name question to finish this out with calls today. Here it is.
In episode 499, Rolf kind of mentioned...
First of all, it's not Rolf, it's Ralph. It just goes by Ralph, but I like Rolf. That's cool. All right, here is the call.
In passing that he has a last name. So this character has a last name. Pretty cool last name, by the way. And that made me think, I'm always really frustrated that I can't get the name that I want for a new character, or, I feel like I make a lot of compromises when it comes to picking a character name. It would be kind of cool if we could pick a family name or a character, last name, and then that could be cool. We could have different characters in the same family, and that way we could have several different characters on the server with the same name.
Basically, he's talking about what that
It was in the alpha, wasn't it?
That
You could do that.
could you in the alpha? I don't remember.
Yeah, in the alpha, you could have a space You could have a space in your name.
Yeah, you could.
So you could have a first name, last name. And I think even maybe at launch, like for a little while, I'm not sure. Maybe it was just alpha.
The Star Wars game does
existed.
this. The Star Wars game has this. Like you can be, you know, as an example, Skywalkers or Skycrawlers or whatever, and that's your last name, and then your first name can be always.
By the way, Skycrawler's a lot less cool than the Skywalkers.
It kind of is, yeah. Luck Skycrawler, you know him. He's there. He's in the thing. Yeah, it's an interesting idea. It's a cool idea, but because his point later, part of his call got cut off, but the part that was garbled talked about, you've got, you know, he knows a lot of Scots, for example, in this world, but he can distinguish them via their last name, and why not do that in the game?
Really?
Yeah, that's what he says.
Yeah,
what do
I
you
don't
think
know.
about
I mean,
that? No.
But then everyone would choose the same last name as well. I don't know. I'm not big into RP. I think
Terps space
Sir
Thrall. That's what I'd be.
Terp Thrall. Yeah.
Terp Thrall.
Thrallster.
Loktaruga.
Right.
Like that.
Much
And
more
everyone
into
would
it.
be like,
Wait.
"Oh, man,
So
this
Patrick,
is
you're not like
badass."
really an RP guy, so this doesn't appeal to you.
Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's so the point is that you could be able to get the name you want, but the last name also has to be unique, right? So if everyone, you know, there's going to be a million, Skycrawlers and Skywalkers, and
The first name
and,
doesn't
you
need
know,
to be unique, but the last name does. Yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of the same problem. It feels like.
But you could come up with a cool last name, like, you know,
Like Gerp or Flurf or like Blurp or I don't know. You know,
Blurpus.
there's millions of names.
You know, Blurpus, Furpus, Blurpus. How about this? How about they just let us have an apostrophe like all the other characters in the game? Why not let us be like,
yeah.
you know, Gerp Gall or something with a little thing in the middle? Come on, that's not that bad. That's all right.
Descended
Yes, that is
space Testy. That'd be good. Yeah, that'd be good.
Excellent
Ah,
idea.
Mr. Testy. Yeah.
As always, you can leave your messages here on the show at 801-471-0462. Please use that liberally, and your attachments, of course, at theinstance@gmail.com. That's going to do it for the show. I did hear from Dills. He DC'd from his connection there at the bed and breakfast and wasn't able to get back in, but it was good having him here. What do you guys, besides the Realm Maintenance guest spot there, Patrick, you got anything else happening you want people to be aware of this week?
Sure. There is a show I do every month called the Phileas Club, and last episode was especially, I wouldn't say enjoyable, but interesting. We talked about the issues.
Listeners, I'll be honest.
Well, so basically, we talked about the events at Charlie Hebdo with people from, different countries in the world. So there you go. You
it's a little
You
dark.
look like an asshole, Patrick.
Yeah,
Thank
You
you.
laughed at a tragedy.
That's pretty grim.
But, we actually talked about it, and we actually had a very interesting conversation with people from Randy was in there actually, and people from Australia, somewhere in the Middle East, the UAE, Germany, and it was super interesting to have those different people give their opinion about what had happened there and how they received it and how they thought about it. Basically, I've come to the conclusion that the show is not about agreeing or disagreeing, but about listening.
Oh.
So you might learn something,
Wow.
Terpster.
That's a hell of a thing.
And so, you can find it at
was that,
FrenchSpin.com, FrenchSpin.com, and a lot of people have told me they enjoyed it, so there you go.
It's a good show.
there
It's
you
always
go.
been a good
Good.
show, but
I'm sure they enjoyed it.
sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
See, I pulled the tragedy card, and now everyone's being nice.
Of course they are. Because you know what? I feel
Really, really
bad about it. Really, really bad.
Ah, man, can I get that for when I get a text?
Yeah.
I like that.
You know, when I get a text, mine says
Oh shit.
every time.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yep.
Get told off for having your phone on.
Terpster, you got anything this week happening of interest you want people to know about?
Probably some vomit that I have to clean up,
Mhm.
or I don't know, Scott. Anything really, isn't it?
Baby
It'll
vomit's
happen.
so easy, though. It's just milky.
Oh, it's
and-
lovely. Actually, it smells gorgeous, and I fully recommend everyone to just really go to town with it. It's just great.
I love that you're a dad now. I love that you're having these experiences. Not because it's like some weird vindication, but because it really is the greatest thing, and you're gonna.
It is.
Yeah, it's
It's
awesome.
no, I'm honestly having a whale of a time, and so whaling time all the time. It's just whaling, and no, I've enjoyed myself. It's I fully recommend anyone considering having children do it. They're great. Well, mine is at least. Yours
Right.
won't be as great as mine.
Well,
Obviously.
follow his exploits on Twitter at @the_T. Of course, Patrick at Not Patrick. You can find me at Scott Johnson, and of course the show at Instant Show. Dills is at Willie Dills. Our theme was created by Matthew Oxley. Big thanks to our intern, Paul Swickard, who keeps up our website at theinstance.net. You can find more great shows like this at frogpants.com. That will do it for us, for me, for Patrick, for Terpster, and for Dills. We'll see you next time. Nothing.
Bye. Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Isn't it? Job's done?
I don't know what it is. Amazing.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Nice job, everyone. Well done. Great show. Good to have everybody back. Felt good.
Well,
good.
you know, all of us and half of Dills.
Well, half a Dills, right? But half a Dills is
He's
better
on holiday.
than... Yeah, he's partying. He's got a...
What?
He's on a vacation, man.
What is he, like, French? There's no holidays on the Instance.
It does seem
You're
a little
either
French, doesn't
in
it?
Or you're out.
Right.
Gosh,
You're either in or you're out. You're with us or against us. And I think he's made his choice.
Yeah, clearly.
He's made his bed.
Yeah.
And he's gone to lie in it.
Stake in the
Enjoying
ground,
it.
made a stand. That's how it is. Well, I hope you will both
Birthday.
have incredible weekends. May they be filled with diapers and good times.
And mech mages everywhere.
And mech mages.
It's terrible.
If you need me, you know how to find me. And let's do this again real soon.
Look to the sky.
Oh, gosh. Hold on. Why is that playing again? All right. Thanks, everybody, for being here.